Classical conditioning occurs when a conditioned stimulus is paired with an unconditioned stimulus. A neutral stimulus elicits a response because it has become associated with a stimulus that already produces that response. An unconditioned stimulus is one that elicits a response without any prior learning. A conditioned stimulus is a stimulus that elicits a response only after learning has taken place. An unconditioned response is a response that does not have to be learned, for example, a reflex. A conditioned response is a response to a conditioned stimulus, and it's one that has to be learned. A neutral stimulus is a stimulus which would not normally trigger a response. Acquisition means the gradual formation of an association between the conditioned and unconditioned stimuli. Extinction means a process in which the conditioned response is weakened when the conditioned stimulus is repeated without the unconditioned stimulus. Spontaneous recovery is a process in which a previously extinguished conditioned response reemerges after the presentation of the conditioned stimulus. Generalization is learning that occurs when stimuli that are similar but not identical to the conditioned stimulus produce the conditioned response. And discrimination is a differentiation between two similar stimuli when only one of them is consistently associated with the unconditioned stimulus. Second-order conditioning is when a previously conditioned stimulus that has acquired value is paired with a new stimulus in the absence of an unconditioned stimulus. Finally, blocking. Once a conditioned stimulus is learned, it can prevent the acquisition of a new conditioned stimulus.
Barbara Streisand.
The Rescorla-Wagner model was a model developed by the psychologists Robert Rescorla and Alan Wagner, and they significantly affected people's understanding of how they learn. It is a model of classical conditioning in which the animal or human is said to learn from the discrepancy between what is expected to happen and what actually happens. This is a trial-level model in which each stimulus is either present or not present at some point in the trial. And according to this model, the strength of the conditioned stimulus and unconditioned stimulus association is determined by prediction error, or the difference between the expected and actual outcomes. If a stimulus appears and something better than expected happens, there is a positive prediction error that strengthens the association between the conditioned stimulus and unconditioned stimulus. On the other hand, if a stimulus appears and an expected event does not happen, there is a negative prediction error that weakens the conditioned stimulus and unconditioned stimulus relationship. Finally, two things to note are that dopamine is most involved in addictive behavior, and it also plays a huge role in reinforcement and ultimately underlies prediction error. And when we use the words positive and negative, they are not associated with something beneficial or harmful that happens, but rather the quantity of something happening, i.e., whether something occurs or whether something is taken away.
Okay, so that was really trial 1. What will happen in scene 2 of trial 2? And there you have it.
The definition of operant conditioning is a particular behavior leads to a particular outcome, and that consequence determines the likelihood of the behavior being repeated. Reinforcement involves encouraging a behavior. Punishment involves discouraging a behavior. Positive means giving a treatment to the patient, and negative means taking away or removing a treatment from the patient.
Hey,
wants to play Drink the Beer?
Right here.
You win.
All right, what do I win?
Another beer.
Oh, I'm going for the high score.
Well, actually, Charlie's got the high score.
Hey, man, your clock won't flush.
Peter, we need to talk.
Not now, Lois. The show's about to start.
Brian Gumble, Greg Gumble, brothers, bike cops. Gumble to Gumble, beach justice.
Lois, are you crazy?
Yeah, me and Dad haven't missed a gumbo to gumbo yet.
Well, you're gonna miss this one, young man. His report card came today. No more TV until your grades improve. Now get upstairs and study.
For a fixed interval schedule of reinforcement, reinforcement is provided after a certain amount of time has passed. For a variable interval schedule of reinforcement, reinforcement is provided after the passage of time, but that time interval is not regular. For a fixed ratio schedule of reinforcement, reinforcement is provided after a certain number of responses have been made. And for a variable ratio schedule of reinforcement, reinforcement is provided after an unpredictable number of responses have been made.
I wish to trade with you.
Some factors that influence operant conditioning include biological constraints, which cause animals to have a hard time learning behavior that runs counter to their evolutionary adaptations. There are also cognitive factors that influence operant conditioning, such as latent and insight learning. Latent learning is learning that takes place in the absence of reinforcement, but may not take an influence over behavior until a reinforcer is introduced. Insight learning is when a solution suddenly emerges after either a period of inaction or contemplation of the problem.
I'm going to recondition your brain so that the need for completion isn't so overwhelming.
Tic-tac-toe can only end in win, lose, or draw, none of which will deny me closure. Especially since I'm about to win.
That's enough.
Then give it!
Oh, yeah. There he is.
Observational learning means acquisition or modification of a behavior after exposure to another individual performing that behavior. Modeling. Imitation of observed behavior. Usually humans tend to model those who have higher status, are similar to ourselves, or are attractive. And vicarious learning. People learn about an action's consequences by watching others being rewarded or punished.
Go.
I'm scared. Can you do it too?
All right. Here we go. And we're off. That's not too difficult, right? And we're both losing weight. Good job. All right, we're gonna miss breakfast. Let's go.
There currently exists a significant amount of evidence supporting the hypothesis that mirror neurons are involved in learning. These neurons are activated when you see someone else making a movement or when you make the same movement. And similar neural circuits are firing in your brain and the brain of the person you're observing. Firing of mirror neurons in the observer's brain does not necessarily trigger a reaction in your brain, but these neurons are probably the basis for empathy. Some examples include flinching when someone else gets hurt, or imitating.
I'm going to need 3 people to do this. We're going to have somebody do the rope, and somebody will do the handle, okay? So let me get some more people to help out. Take 1 rehearsal.
1, 2, 3.